Recording. There we go. All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good
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 morning.
morning.
This is episode one of Coffee to Go. We finally made it. Very first episode. So
Yes.
here we go.
It's all
So,
downhill from here.
okay,
Good
so
morning.
I'm gonna start it off as in I am Lewis and I like my coffee straight black. And as you can see, peace, love, and bacon, my very favorite thing. So let's go around the room and introduce ourselves and tell us what kind of coffee you guys like. I mean, don't
I'm
everybody go at
Laura.
once.
Hello, everybody. I got some light and sweet coffee in here, just like myself.
Hi everyone, I'm G and I like my coffee black.
Mm. Best way to have it.
That's right.
Gotcha. Hi, everyone. My name is David, and I like my coffee any kind of way. So it's either light, dark, or creative. That's how I am. So here, I got water. Coffee is just water, so I'm drinking coffee still.
Okay. I'm O'Shawn. I like my coffee all types of ways. It depends on the season. So right now it's pumpkin spice and half half.
Hey,
Spice
good
everything.
pick.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wow.
All
it's the
right.
season.
So how was our week? How did everybody enjoy the week?
I mean,
The
Anything
week was
interesting
well.
happen? Any tidbits? Anything we'd like to bring to the table this morning?
Well, I feel like the world had a very interesting week in general,
oh well, that's true.
right? It was a
yeah.
really heavy week for everybody.
It was
Mhm.
Yeah,
very interesting week.
yeah.
Very
Welcome to 2020 part 2, guys.
the
I saw
It was
sequel,
the
something on
Leo.
Twitter that was like December 37th, 2021.
right?
Well played. It's like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme, the one where from the Django when he's just like he has like a little cup. You guys
Oh,
seen that
yes.
meme? He's
Yeah.
just like, "Oh, you thought I was finished?"
Yeah, notice none of us even want to talk about it.
Mhm.
this is
Yeah,
this is the epitome of Meek Mill's dreams and nightmares. Like, hold up, wait a minute.
Yikes.
Y'all think I'm
yeah,
finished?
And you see them climbing, scaling. You thought I was finished?
Yeah.
But to
Very,
answer your
very
question, I guess I'll start. My week was pretty good. I've been working out twice a day, meditating, getting work done for work, like a productive adult, you know, trying to start off on the right foot.
that's 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 like it's like we don't want to be adults. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we don't want to adult. We don't want to do what we're supposed to do. Like we'd rather just go outside and play. I mean, imagine if we could just be like 5 for one day. You know? No worries, no bills, no, you know, spam calls 25 times a day, you know?
Your car's an extended warranty calls. It's
Right?
like, yeah.
Hate those.
LaShawn, how was your week?
My week was a week.
Your week was a week?
Yeah, my week was a week. I actually had surgery on Monday.
I was gonna ask you
Oh,
about how did everything go?
Good. Good. I'm up and running now. It was by choice, so it wasn't nothing like serious. It was by choice, y'all. But it's good.
Feeling good?
Hmm?
Are you feeling good?
Yes.
Yeah.
The
She's
first like
looking
2
good.
days
Look at
I was
her.
out of it. The first 2 days I was out of it. But I'm definitely like feeling back to normal now. So it's good.
Good, good.
Scott,
good to
Lauren.
My week has been a hot mess. I don't even want to talk about
Okay.
it.
All right.
fair enough.
David.
My week felt like a month. Like it was that one particular day. It was just like, oh no, all over again. But again, you have to realize that that's what's going on in our world, but you also have to take care of what's happening in your own world, in your own family. So like Giselle, I've been meditating, working out, just focusing on just the immediate now, and it helps. It helps puts things into perspective. As you can see, I'm here in my dojo. This is like my gym right here. So it's not fake. It's where I'm at right now. But overall, good. Um, Focusing on my dreams and just journaling, which is something very new for me. So that's pretty good.
Sounds good.
Overall, a good start.
Well, speaking of first starts, being that this is our very first episode, and we've been this is a culmination of all of last year coming into this year with our first episode. I mean, our first episode was supposed to start at the very earliest, probably 7-8 months ago. We're finally starting it January. What's today? The 9th, I believe. Today is the 10th. Okay, January 10th. So right, so today is January 10th, 2021.
Can we do a birthday shout out?
Yes.
Happy birthday, Kai, when you watch this.
Happy birthday. Happy
Oh,
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
How old is he now?
19.
19. Oh man,
Yeah.
do y'all remember when y'all was 19? A whole
I had
different
my
you,
first
right?
kid at 19, so.
Oh my gosh. I wasn't even thinking about kids. I was thinking about going to the club and but it's 2021. This is our very first episode, January 10th, and introductions are out the way. Our weeks have been a culmination of what's led up to this. So I'd like to guess start this off on the right foot. This first episode is going to be Peace to 2020. So goodbye 2020. Hello 2021. Let's talk about all positive vibes and even the negative ones that can and will ultimately affect us in 2021. I will start off with Sean. We're going to talk about her subject. Her subject is death and loss and what 2020 has taught her.
So in 2021, not only dealing with COVID, deaths from COVID, I dealt with my father passing in April of a heart attack. And then May, my cousin was killed. So it was like back to back deaths and still dealing with being quarantined and everything like that. It was a lot. It was a lot. Like if I didn't go to therapy, like if I didn't already have a therapist, I don't think that I would. But from those situations, I learned that you have to really how you say every year you need to spend time with your family more or talk to this one more. Like you really have to, because you just wake up in the morning and everything changed, and you be like, oh my gosh, I wanted to hit them up and now they're gone. So I just feel like definitely in 2021 I have to spend the time with the people that I love the most, because the way people just be going, I have to. So that's about it.
I think that was a really recurring theme in 2020 with a lot of people passing, a lot of people a lot of people either losing someone physically or losing someone emotionally. 2020 was really hard for everybody as far as in that kind of aspect. I mean, being quarantined, you lose touch with a lot of people that you're used to seeing every day. You know, aside from losing someone, I lost my aunt. I lost a bunch of other people. One of my good friends I went to school with, Eric, he passed away. 2020 was really a culmination of the start. I want to say the start of a new era of different things, because we're going into an era where peace is not guaranteed anymore. A lot of things that we have are not guaranteed. We are living in an unprecedented time. I mean, you look at what Trump has brought in, and I hate to bring into politics into our cast, but I mean, it's true. That stuff really does affect us. Stimulus payments, people losing their job. yeah, that's a recurring theme. Loss is a recurring theme that happened throughout 2020, and I really feel like, it affects each and every one of us, if not on a personal level, on a business level, on a spiritual level, on an emotional level. And where do we get the, I guess, the strength and the courage to keep going? I guess that's my question. If anybody wants to chime in.
I was just gonna say that, like, for example, Shawnee, she lost her dad, she lost her cousin, and this all happened in the very beginning of quarantine, and like nobody could see each other. It was hard for me to be there for her. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this was just a freaking crazy year. And I wish that we could go into 2021 and be able to all be together. And that's, I feel like, where most people get their strength from, their support system, their friends, their family. And then when you're separated from your family for going on, 10 months now or whatever it is, it's like, what are we supposed to do? I don't have the answers.
Right.
It's almost a year, no? It's actually probably a year
Yeah,
now.
Yep.
well, March was
No,
March.
March.
Yeah, you're right. You're actually, yeah, you're right. Because March.
Well,
I was actually on
they
mute,
were
and I was
talking
going to say
about
the same thing
COVID
you
in
said.
January, last January, but it wasn't here yet.
Yeah, correct. And I was gonna say the same thing you were saying. I noticed I was on mute like a good minute, but you're so right. Like, reaching out to your support system, and or realizing that you need a support system, like the presence of community, or just like family, like the smaller form of a community. And I think going on to this next chapter, we need to either remember or at least recognize that the power of community and family, it's where we get our strength from. You could have an idea rumbling in your head, and you share it to the person that you trust, and they're like, no, it's not so. And then you can actually work it out. So when you're lonely, it tends to, or you don't have that support, you can be succumb to a lot of negative thoughts.
It's very true. Very true. So I think that the positive that we can take from this is, having a good support system around you, having a backbone. Let's say that your friends, your family are the backbone, your genetic makeup, and they are the ones that you could ultimately lean on. As like we're all friends outside of this podcast. We're all very close. So we use each other as support system. Me and David talk a lot. I talk a lot with Lauren, LaShawn, Giselle, individually. But, this is where we are going into 2021, whereas we can't all physically be around each other, when we exactly want each other. But the good thing is that we're a phone call away. We're a text message away, where we're having a breakdown, we're having these negative kind of connotations or these thoughts or whatever is going around, that we have somebody that we can actually pick up the phone, call, bring us back to who we are internally.
That's what really showed me the power of relationships and just relationships in
Yep.
general, with parents, siblings, partners, friends, coworkers, mentors. And I think the last 10 months really showed me that power in those relationships can come from so many different ways, and you can be supported in so many different ways. And I think I was used to being supported by relationships, being there for someone, like you're always ready to rush someone aid, but not being able to do that, those phone calls and those Zoom calls and those iMessage games or those little packages and the postcards, that support and that power that has been kind of like revived because we haven't been able to see each other is also kind of a silver lining that I never really thought about until today. When you talk about that power, which is like interesting. And I appreciate that. If anything, I appreciate that I've been able to kind of like build relationships in different ways, and expand on relationships in ways I never thought I possibly could.
That's powerful, and I'm gonna get back to that because that's one of your topics as well as one of my topics. So we are gonna circle back around to that and kind of like expand on this particular subject. Going into our next subject, Lauren, we're going to talk about what children and parenting has kind of brought you from 2020 going into 2021.
Well, my experience being stuck at home with these kids for the last 10 months has been that I think that a lot of the things that they try to tell us are important for our children. I mean, not to say that school's not important and everything,
Mhm.
but if your kids are going to be stuck at home with you for 10 months, I think that we've been working more on like dealing with our emotions, you know, chores, how to keep a clean house because we're always here. Like, and I have a son that started high school this year, so he's never actually even been able to step foot into a high school building. He has no idea what high school's like, and you know, he's frustrated and he's saying like, "Oh, I'm not going to use this ever in life anyway." And I mean, I can't disagree with him.
Mm.
I can't disagree with him at this point. So it's like at this point, we're just like focusing on just being, you know, emotionally well, I would say. Like, not to say I don't care about the schooling, but it's like do the minimum. I would never tell him that pre-COVID and pre-quarantine, but like do the minimum and focus on everything else that makes you happy.
Emotional intelligence, that's key. You know, you can take that anywhere with go.
Mhm.
So to actually be stable, not stable, but like at least well and understanding yourself, and then knowing that other people are like that too. That's such a good trait to have. So if
And
That
anything,
of
that's like
empathy.
pretty.
course, just
It's
like
very
Yeah.
important.
imagine us how we're feeling. We can't see our friends. We can't see our like. Imagine these kids. They have never
Mhm.
even met their teachers.
Hmm.
Hmm.
They're meeting their
Yeah.
teacher like through a computer screen. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
imagine how they're feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really tough for those of us in the group without children. Well, there's only the three of you guys don't have children, but I
It's
mean,
just
I
us, Lou.
can kind of speak on that as well. Me with me and my children. I mean, my oldest Aubrey. You know, anytime I speak on the phone with her, I'm bored. You know, I don't know what to really do with myself. I mean, she turned 10 this year. Well, feel old just saying that, but yeah, she turns 10 this year, so it's like,
Double digits.
yeah, you know, and she's just, you know, she called me in the middle of the day. I believe it was either Wednesday or Thursday, and she's just like, "Daddy, I'm bored," and I'm like, "Go read a book." Like, I'm working. Like, what do you want me to do? I can't help you out right now, you know. I think that for these children, there's no stability in their day. There's no structure. You know, that it's either I'm gonna go to school or wait, I can't go to school because either school is being relegated to being at home due to COVID concerns, or somebody catching COVID if the student is actually going to school.
Mhm.
Whereas in the case of my son, who started kindergarten this year, you know, he was actually going, you know, he was allowed to actually go to school, but now he's not even allowed to be in class. He's actually being relegated to being at home, and they're not even doing like the distance learning. I mean, they sent the packet home. So not only
Mm.
do we have to actually sit with him and go through it,
Mhm.
it's this, when a child is at home and there's no social life, there's no structure to their day. It's kind of like being at home on a Saturday, and a parent telling the child, "Hey, do this work, you know,
Mhm.
Mhm.
do this math work, do this English." You know,
Mhm.
it's very, it's unfortunate for the child. I mean, I can't imagine what goes through our children's heads, you know, during the day, where, you know, they kind of wish, you know, I could see my friends, you know, I
Mhm.
could have this kind of,
Interaction and
yeah,
Mhm.
you know,
yeah,
you
that
want that.
experience, just the experience in
Right,
itself.
you want that for your children. You want
Which
Yeah.
your
is so
children
crucial for
to,
their development as
Yeah.
a
right.
child. Like that's their way of actually playing and having some sort of practice dealing with people. You know, that's how we
Mhm.
learned how to live in society. You know, playing,
Yeah.
being in a group,
Mhm.
playing tag or
Mhm.
something like structured activities. Now without that, I'm actually an idea sparked in my head. I wonder what's going to be the next generation. Are we going to be more? Are they going to be isolated? What type of perspective is going to be brought on by that? And
That
it's
isolation.
also, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Also,
feel like it
silver
was
lining,
trending that way anyway.
Yeah,
I really
I think
do
this is
Yeah.
like
because I mean,
it made it
you
go
look at
deeper,
these
right?
kids. I mean, when we was growing up, we'd rather be outside. We'd rather
Out
run
the stoop,
around.
running the block. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and
I
these
think we're
children,
the last of the Mohicans
That
on that one.
yeah,
generation.
you know, these
Yeah.
Yes.
children, they rather be home. They rather watch YouTube. They rather, play video games. I mean, I play video games, and I'd rather, kind of be online too. But I mean, the difference is, one, I was forced to go outside, hey, get outside, go get some air and stuff
Mhm.
like that, whatever,
Mhm.
whatever. Don't come back inside until like the street lights hit. Or, I actually wanted to go outside. I wanted to go play with my friends. I wanted to, run the streets, so to speak. These kids, they rather be home. They rather be on their tablets. They rather, be on phones, and things are so readily available to them
Mhm.
in this age than it was for us. And I get that technology has advanced from where, I mean, imagine doing this podcast back when we was in high school. I mean, we'd be using AOL dial up right now,
Mhm.
with
Not
slow
even. We would
connection.
actually be
It wouldn't
together
be a
and
podcast.
using
We
a
would
tape
probably,
recorder.
yeah, we'd be at a radio station, like chopping it up, and someone,
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
so
yeah.
I mean, everything is so readily available to us right now. So for them, the ease of access is beyond what we had. So I do get that, but I also don't like it at the same time, because they're not gonna grow up the way that we did. They're not gonna have the same kind of, I don't want to say struggle, but the same I guess strengths and weaknesses that we were able to kind of tap into and learn from growing up. Imagine, being in the street and seeing these things firsthand rather than seeing it on Twitter, seeing it on
Yeah.
Instagram. This is their generation, where everything is so readily available, where they could just Google
Mhm.
something and it
That
brings it up,
access
whereas
to,
we actually had to live in current events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I would,
think
well,
the main
okay.
thing. Oh, you go, Law. You go, Law.
Well, I was just gonna say, adding like on with the electronics and everything. Like, in the beginning of quarantine, my younger son, who's 6, we were letting him play with his tablet all the time, of course, right? And then I realized, like, this is obviously not good, so we had to cut it down. Like, we started letting him only play with it after 12, after lunch. Then we started. Now he's only allowed to play with the tablet on the weekend.
Mhm.
And like, I just bought a whole bunch of stuff for my backyard over the summer, and I actually made them go outside this summer because
Oh,
I
it's so
was trying
cool.
to get them
that's
back
awesome.
to how
Yeah.
I was as a kid. So, like, we had scooters, we got a basketball hoop, trampoline, pool, everything. And I felt like, when I say kids, like, my younger son, my nieces, I always have a bunch of little kids over here. I felt like they had like an awesome summer, like we would have
Mhm.
had when we were
Yeah.
children.
Mhm.
And honestly, that's a kind of plus that came out of COVID, because if COVID didn't happen, I may or may not have made that happen for them. Who knows? But I
Yeah.
actually, I
Props
forced
to
it
mom.
on them
Well,
because they're
props.
stuck in the
Yeah.
house, and I didn't want them to be stuck in the house.
All right, well, let's
And but
raise our
I'm
cups
lucky
to
enough
that.
Yep.
to have a backyard, and a lot of people, they don't have that. So
I commend you for that, Law, because a lot of parents probably don't even have, like that ambition to even create that space for their kids, and even like being able to do that for their children, or to even understand that the importance of having that emotional intelligence and knowing all these other basic things is really, really, really important. So I commend you for that. That's awesome.
I wanted to tag along. I think that this my point, short point I'm going to make. I think it's the main keys are responsibility and awareness. We
right.
have to be aware that culture is always going to change. Like this, 1920s to the 40s to 2000s to 2021. It's going to change. So at least being aware that, okay, like things are going to change, but also taking responsibility and taking that initiative, giving them a project, and that's something that you made a memory, and that
Right.
stays with them. So
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
that's
Yes.
amazing.
that year when we couldn't go outside, mommy.
Exactly.
That's
And
what's gonna
I
be.
want that to be what my children remember, not that, oh my God, we were stuck home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's probably all they'll
Yeah.
remember too. So you
I
made
hope
that,
so.
you
Yeah.
created
Yeah.
that space for them. Yeah.
Well, speaking of that and trying to crescendo into our next topic, David's topic was mental health and mental issues, and I feel like that's a huge topic that we can really delve into because this kind of it correlates in a way. David.
Uh, Definitely. So I actually read a report. I think I pulled it yesterday, and I'll share it with you guys if you guys want to look at it. But pretty much from my own personal experience, like just being isolated, working from home, it kind of felt like just like hell is a strong word, but it could feel like a mental hell if you're just doing the same thing. You're glued to your phone and you're looking at what's going on in the world, and you're just like So a lot of deep, heavy thoughts came from isolation. Fortunately for me, I have good support systems. I live with my wife. She, we share ideas. We talk to each other. We communicate, which is such, just saying it out loud. It's very good. I'm appreciative. But I'm sure that everyone's different. Everyone has different systems. Everyone has their burden. And when I read this report, I found some, alarming statistics. So talking about the youth of the U.S. population. So about in 2019, 9.2% of young adults were diagnosed with major depression, as opposed to 2020, it went up 0.5%. Yeah, it's a little increase, but it's an increase. So now we have 9.7 people, young adults, suffering from depression, diagnosed clinically. So that part, but also what about the people that are not diagnosed, right? Because they don't
Gonna
have
say
Which
that.
is
they have lack of
yeah.
medical care, right? So there's that
Yeah.
that population, right? Also suicidal ideation, which is like thoughts of harming yourself, killing yourself, things of that nature, has increased, especially in adults such as ourselves. And then compile that with the holiday blues, with unemployment, with the year, civil unrest, we'll call it that.
Yeah.
Civil unrest. If anything, being succumbed to just using our phones kind of is like a psychological trauma in a way, because you're so glued to it and you don't have that mental frame to distinguish, all right, that's what's happening there, but it's not here, it's not me.
Right.
A couple more points. Screening went up like maybe 100-fold. About I have here 93% increase of people screening for anxiety and 67% for depression, meaning that people actually went to their medical professions and actually were screened for it. Now, whether they were diagnosed or not, diagnosed with it, I don't have those statistics, but the mental health awareness, good and bad, is that people are more aware of it. Physical health, you harm. I remember Kanye West had an episode with David Letterman, and he was saying how, like, when you break your arm, you have a cast, but what happens when you harm your brain or it's bruised? I think we're moving away from the suck it up, bucko, or just tough it out. I think that has gone away. But just retreating a little bit back. So 9.2 to 9.7. Now, an interesting fact that I saw, or a statistic, was that for people, young adults who identified with one race or more, actually had a 12.4% increase. So now you have like that culture, you kind of can like speculate, when you come from a multicultural family, given with domestic problems or lack of support, it's hard to feel like having some sort of stability. You may not have those activities like Law did, hey, let's build a farm or a plant, right? So I can only imagine what people have gone through. I think there's always a silver lining, and I think that's the most important part, recognizing the good and the bad, because through isolation and loneliness, you actually things it's kind of almost. I'll make a mental image, and I'll finish with this. It's like you're in a swamp, and you're alone, and then all of a sudden, like just ideas start surfacing, things that you didn't really want to think about, things you never thought about, and you're like, you pluck it out, you analyze it, and then you choose what to do with it. Either this is a part of me, I like it. This really didn't stem for me, or you let go. And also just harness, like, I think everything is all encompassing now, recognizing your community support, reach, if you have access to it, seek out a therapist, taking up something that builds mental fortitude. And for me personally, my brother and I, we actually took up a martial art. We're studying Muay Thai boxing, and that's been kicking my ass, but in a good. And I feel like literally, yeah. I feel like
Pun
you
intended.
need to, pun intended. You need to do hard things. I feel like that is going to build resolve for you. And also that's just not the only outlet you can have. It could be creativity. I feel like a lot of creativity was sparked during this year. People that are creative, people who didn't even know they were creative, they probably found that spark, and that's probably a silver lining from that all. But mental health, it's very important, and I think just reaching out to those that you love, to that support you, it's crucial, and we just gotta be there for each other.
What they say, mental health is wealth, and that's really a really great topic to actually expand on, because of the fact that so many of us don't have the mental fortitude or the mental awareness to actually want help, or to acknowledge the fact that we actually need help. Or some of us are not, I don't want to say necessarily in denial. Yes, there are people that's in denial of their mental issues, but to expand on that, there's people that are not aware of the fact that maybe I do need help. Maybe the things that I'm feeling, maybe I do need something. And I feel like we're moving away from the old stigma of mental health, where, it's kind of like, oh, you need a therapist, or you need to go see a therapist. We're not there anymore. We're in an age where it's so like everybody, in my opinion, everybody needs a therapist, whether it be a professional person that you go see. LaShawn had said earlier that she's been seeing a therapist. I myself have been seeing a therapist to deal with the things that I've been going through and trying to cope. I feel like everybody needs a therapist, whether it be professional or whether it be your best friend, a parent, somebody that maybe you met online, where they're kind of going through something similar, because therapy comes in all types and forms. It could be from just getting everything that you have off your chest, from what you're personally dealing with, or maybe even just listening to somebody that's going through something similar to what you're going through, and the the courage to actually speak on it, but two, having somebody that's actually going to listen to you, and you feeling like, I have somebody that's with me, I have somebody that's there for me. Not a lot of people could say that. Not a lot of people could say, like, I have a friend where I can call and I can tell all these things to, all these secrets, or all these things that's been building up, this anxiety that I feel, and having an outlet. And I feel like that's very important, having an outlet.
It is. I was just going to say, I work in the mental health field, and those statistics, David, that you gave are actually severely underreported. A lot of people don't even say the truth on these things. So that number of that 9% is probably more at like 15 if everyone answered appropriately.
It's so interesting. I'm sorry, but I want to add something. It's funny because in the beginning of the report, it was saying that the report may be maybe not as accurate, because there were certain members of the population you can't assess. Like, you can't assess homeless people, military veterans, people who are incarcerated. They were saying, actually, it's funny because they were saying if they were included, it probably would be 15%. It'd probably be more.
Yeah, more. Yeah. And then even that goes into so many subfacets, like you have to take into those statistics. I'll send you some articles. They break down even further, like age. If you have children at that young age, were you raised in a 2-parent household for you to be feeling this way on a scale of 1 to 10, and who do you live with? So there's so many other factors that go into this, but it's interesting. Yeah. So yeah, back to what you were saying, Lou, having those people, even if it's, professional or someone that if you don't have access to someone professional, which if you don't, there always is someone, but like a friend or family member is really, really important. Just because if we think about all those underreported numbers, all those people who are like not, aware that they need that help, or they're scared to say that they need that help. So.
Right. And for the people that's listening, for the people that are watching, just know that we can be your therapy. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if you're going through something, if you're having a tough time, please do not hesitate to email us at coffeetogopod@gmail.com, or you can DM us on Instagram. We will respond. Any one of us, we will respond. We will listen. We will take the time out to try to walk through what you're going through, whether it be just listening, whether it be giving advice, or whether it be just
Giving resources.
Linking
giving
you
you
to some
resources. Yeah, so
Absolutely.
anything that you need, we are at your disposal. We want to be your therapy. This is our therapy. We're using each other as our own therapists, in a sense of the word. So we would like to also extend that invitation to you as well.
I
So
have a question for Giselle.
yes.
Maybe you can answer it. Just like the
Sure.
barriers to mental health, because I know before COVID, there's so many barriers: insurance,
List them. Let's
blah blah
go.
blah,
Solo. You
and
can
then
do it. Do it.
like depending on what you got going on, some therapists don't even want to take you.
Yeah.
Insurance, lack of insurance, waiting forever for an appointment, you're not finding the right therapist. If people don't realize that you might not like your first therapist and you need to try another therapist. And now, like with COVID on top of that, like I'm pretty sure it's just
It's rough.
therapists are not working as much. It's virtual people's meetings. Like it's
it's interesting because you have a lot of people, I think right now, people are worried. You got to think about, first, we're all confined to this one space, right? So for anyone who is quarantining like they should be, which means you're home, you're not really leaving your house, that privacy that you're supposed to have with a therapist and that confidentiality might be hard for some people to have in a home where there's 4 or 5 people to a bedroom, or there isn't a bedroom, or they don't have a working phone to call a therapist, or they don't have Wi-Fi to get on Teledoc, or their virtual meets for their therapist. So it's so much more than just access at this point. Yeah, it's great that we have that space to get therapy in those different facets, but there's so many communities that don't know that they have those resources. There were some students in September, October, November that didn't still have laptops or devices to go on for school. So if we can't, there's just so many different layers. And I think the hardest part as a mental health worker is that these resources are out there for people. And I think people just aren't aware of that, and they don't know where to start looking. They're intimidated by looking. They don't think that they deserve to have that kind of relationship with someone else or that space. I think we live in a society where where we were taught to just, let it rise, simmer it down, don't talk about it, bottle it. So it's a lot, It's a lot. And I wish we could fix it in like a snap of a finger, but we can't, because it's like you fix one problem, you fix the problem, right? We said, there's not enough access for people to get mental health services. Great. Now it's a pandemic, and we figured everyone has a smartphone and can do virtual meets, but that's still not working for people. Something else comes up. People have lost their jobs and don't have insurance, so now they can't get the therapy. Or
I didn't even think of that.
Or maybe you're lucky to get another insurance, but you have to find another therapist. And Maybe you find in a discussion with the therapist that you guys have different views and you realize you don't feel comfortable for the next session. Now you have to start over. It's a
Right.
lot for
I think that
yeah,
I think that that's one of probably, I mean, mental health is such it's such a broad topic, but it's also very linear. And it's hard to kind of pinpoint and touch on every single aspect. So I Sean just text the group. I believe that episode 2 next week we can actually delve into it more. Maybe we spend the whole episode kind of like Giselle could give more resources. We could kind of delve into it a little bit more, speak on our own personal experiences, and kind of open it up a little bit more. And I
Maybe
feel like
discuss strategies to help too,
right,
because there are things that you can do that you don't
absolutely.
need to seek
right,
a therapist for. You could do it yourself, and they're
exactly.
effective.
Yeah, I challenge all of you guys actually to come next week. Maybe that could be our opener, to come with something to share with the rest of us that you do to calm down or find that safe space for yourself.
Right, I was just about to say that. Like,
I got tips.
going into the next episode, let's all and let's also speak on personal experiences. Let's try to be a little bit vulnerable, so that way the people that's listening, the people that's watching, that they can feel as if it's okay. You know, this is a safe place, and even if it's in a public forum, you have people that's here that's not going to put you down or belittle you for feeling the way that you feel. This I want to get rid of this negative stigma where we need help. It's okay to say I need help.
Damn
I need you. You need somebody. Everybody needs somebody, whether it be, like I said, a professional or a friend or somebody that's going to be there that's going to actually listen to. And crescendoing into our next topic, from Giselle, this is perfect because her topic is relationships. And I feel like that's mental health and, well, everything that we've talked about is kind of along the same structure.
Interconnected. Yeah.
Right. Giselle, take it away.
Yeah. Just I was just thinking about the importance of relationships in the past 10 months, the ones I've built, the ones I've lost, the ones I constantly pick apart and kind of like put back together, just for that growth purpose. And just how, circling back to that mental health thing, how important having that, like, having those relationships as sounding boards, to kind of talk you through your days and your issues, and having those people around you that have the same views as you, the same morals as you, people that can really push you. That's something that I've really, really been thinking about the last 10 months.
So
really value relationships.
To kind of open up more about the relationships that you're speaking of, these relationships to you, what have they kind of given you? What have you learned from these relationships? What can you take from them?
I think I really learned how to have a voice.
Good.
I think I've always been opinionated, but in a very different way, that I've learned to kind of use other people's voice as my voice too, if that makes sense. Like, other people's strengths and the things that they're really, really good at has pushed me to find that in myself. So I like to think that relationships are like, or the people around me are mirrors of myself. And I find a little bit of myself in everyone else. And that's how I found my voice. Like, everyone has contributed to that. So I think I'm really, really big on making sure that the relationships push you to find a better you, an ever growing you. So yeah, I think that's what relationships have really taught me and given me the power.
I think relationships work best when they're two ways.
Yeah.
When it's two ways and there's an agreement that you guys want the best for each other. And that's the true test, right? When you see your sister or your brother kind of doing something that it's not good for them, that is like an opportunity to actually let them know that, hey, you're doing this wrong. I think like maybe it's in our generation or the upcoming one where we don't want to get in the way. We're like, you know what, that's you. I love you. Do you? But if you truly love someone and you see that they're doing something wrong, you will let them know. And they should want the best for you, and they shouldn't want the worst from you, if that makes sense.
Perfect.
I think that's very important in a relationship.
Yeah, and I think that's for all relationships, sibling relationships, friend relationships, partner relationships, you know. To be able to have that dialogue, David, to be able to have that dialogue and tell somebody, like, you bugging, you need to, like, kind of, like, reevaluate what you're doing and holding someone accountable. And listen, it's up to that other person whether they do it or not. And I will sit here and tell you that my circle holds me accountable, and 9 times out of 10 I do the opposite. But I'm gonna tell them too, like, I'm really not going to take your advice, and I'm letting you know, but that's that accountability and that communication. And Lou knows, because I've told Lou straight up, like, I need your advice. I'm letting you know I'm probably not going to take it, but, like, I need that fair ground, and having that is really, really good to do. So, yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Relationships are probably one of the strongest things in our life. You know, your relationship with your friends, your relationship with your professional in relationships as far as coworkers, bosses, even your relationship with yourself, being able to look yourself in the mirror and, you know, kind of be like, I really don't like you right now. I don't like what's going on right now. Where do we go from here? Relationships they can either be used positively or negatively. And it's up to kind of us as individuals to find where is our medium in that spectrum. And this is also going into our next topic, having which is mine, the knowledge, the awareness of knowing where to draw all that from, knowing what can we learn from our relationships. So my topic was, what did 2020 teach you? What are you going into 2021 with as far as the knowledge of what you've learned from your own personal experiences and from watching other watching other people with their own struggles or with their accomplishments? What have you learned? LaShawn, let's start with you.
Well, damn. I was going to anyway.
Let me think about it first.
That was aggressive too. Like, I
right? God.
I pass the mic to you.
For 2021, for 2020, I want to put forth, and I've learned from 2020 that I will not deal with a lot of situations. I felt like in 2021, I dealt with a lot of situations that a lot of people wouldn't deal with.
2020.
A lot of people didn't. Like 2020, I dealt with a lot of things that I'm a little ashamed to say I actually dealt with things that I didn't think that I would deal with.
Don't be ashamed.
And I just, yeah.
Yeah,
so
it's
I just know that in 2021, and going forward, 2022, 2023, I will not deal with what I dealt with last year. Because I dealt with a lot. Not just saying I dealt with like domestic violence. It was just a lot. So I just know that now I know more of my worth, and I know that going into 2021, I will not deal with that.
That's powerful. That is powerful. Lauren, what has 2020 taught you that you're bringing into 2021?
2020 taught me that I don't have to be perfect. I'm a perfectionist. I always try to be the perfect mom, keep my house immaculate, do everything perfect, get to work on time, do my work perfect, everything perfect. And 2020 taught me that there is no such thing as perfect. And whatever the heck I want to do, that's perfect. Fine.
Powerful.
Like just an example, at the beginning of quarantine, my house was never cleaner. It was the cleanest it's ever been. But now it's like, whatever, like, the kids are here. We're here all day. I'm not keeping this house clean. I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay. Giselle.
I think also to piggyback off of Law a little bit, I think 2020 has taught me that time is a construct, and I'm going on my time, and my time might not equate to what your time is. So And that's that on that. Something that's going to take you 2 days might take me 5, but that's my business and not yours. So,
Okay. All right. All
yeah.
right. This is I love this empowerment. This ownership of, this is me and it's either love me or hate me. This is how I'm going
Exactly.
forward. I love it. I love it. David.
Yes.
For me, it's going through what you're going through.
Mm.
Or go through. You grow through what you go through. I always have
Oh,
that problem saying that, but you have to. And also a law you mentioned. You're Virgo, right?
yes.
You, yeah, because I'm a Virgo too, and I feel like I've also learned that perfectionism is just it's for me it's just rooted in insecurity. That perfect is not that's not the way. I feel like in order for you to be perfect, it's just like doing it your way, trial and
Exactly.
error. If anything, success is failure. You
Mhm.
learn more through your failures. So if you spend a lot of time trying to be perfect, you're not gonna go anywhere because you're gonna be like, that's not right, so I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
How about do it, fail, learn it? Fire burns no more. Kind of like that. And
Right.
Yeah.
be the grace that you needed when you were going through that whatever time. I feel like that's one thing that I'm living by. And there was
Yeah.
something that The Rock said earlier last year. It's time to, the leaders that we're looking for, it's time for us to be those leaders.
Mm.
Like those people that, where are the leaders? Where are you? It's us, and
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
our time.
Yeah.
So I think that was one of the best like concepts that I've discovered, that this is the mantle has been brought to us. Now, what do we do about it? This is
Right.
the time where we're gonna remember when we're like 80 or something, if we remember, if we live that long too. But we're gonna say, hey, I remember that was that point, and I did something, whatever it was. You don't have to be like a mogul, but it was the responsibilities that you were aware of. You did something, and I
Yeah.
think that's the seed that I'm planting, and I feel like we're all doing that.
Yes.
Yeah, we are.
Going off of what everybody has contributed, my 2020 wasn't the best, but I feel like everybody could say that 2020 has taught me to value my relationships with the people that I hold dear to me, and even the people that I don't necessarily hold dear to me. I feel like we if 2020 has taught me one thing, it's that anybody, and I mean anybody, can be somebody to you. 2020 has taught me that you do have people around you. You have people that care for you. This last year taught me who is exactly in your corner and who isn't. There are people that I thought that I would always remain friends with, or that I will always be close with, that I am no longer close to. There are people in my life now that I have a stronger relationship with, and I probably have known them in a lesser amount of time than I've known probably anybody else. David is probably one of the more prime examples that I could actually bring into this, because out of everybody here, I've known David the least amount of time. I've known Lauren the most amount of time, with LaShawn and Giselle being in the middle of that. And that just goes to show you, it doesn't matter if you meet somebody yesterday and you're beyond close with them today, or you meet somebody 20 years ago. Whereas in my experience with Lauren, we've known each other for 20 plus years, and we're still stronger now than we probably were 20 years ago. Relationships, the people that are with you, they are what you make it. You yourself, going off of what Lauren said, perfection is what you make it. We have to stop living in this bubble that we create for ourselves, where we feel like this is not the best version of ourselves. No, the best version of ourselves is what we decide to make it, and we have to take ownership of that. We have to realize that, hey, sometimes it's not always going to be the best, but this is who I am. And if we're okay with that and nobody else is, who cares if nobody else is? You're okay with it. You have
It's
to be the
experience.
best, right? You have to be the best version of
Yeah.
you. And once you learn
Yeah.
how to be the best version of your own self, life is just at that point, whatever you make it. Now you could be like, I don't really care. I don't care that this is not bringing what I want out of this type of relationship from my life. So what do you do with it? You either cut it off or you try to salvage it. That choice is yours. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
this is 2020 has been a big learning experience for us. And in
Yeah, it has.
2021, let's move forward with that. Let's be the best versions of us. Let's
Yeah.
use each other as therapy. Let's continue, learning more about mental health and learning more about ourselves and growing. What did you say, David? You grow
You
to
grow through what you go through.
yes,
Yeah.
Grow
let's
through
Grow
what you
through what you
go
go through.
and
I like
that
that.
should be our motto.
I'm about to
Let's
say,
grow
right?
through grow
Ding.
grow through what you go through. Let's use that. Let's use each other. Let's use this platform. And even outside of this platform, let's be the voice not only for each other, but
Mhm.
for the people that's going to be watching, for the people that's going to be listening.
lead by
Let's be that.
example.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'd like to
Feel stronger
close.
already, guys.
Yes. I'd like to kind of close with this. 2020 is over. And even though it still feels a little bit like 2020 in 2021, that's